So, here's the thing. We're doing a Marvel tier list. That's the purpose of this. I'm excited about it. I have watched all of Phase 4. Took some time. But now we're here. So, WandaVision. A tier. Maybe B tier. For me, personally. Everybody loves WandaVision. I think it's a great show. I think it uses the fact that it's a TV show to great effect. Because they play off the episodic nature of a TV show. Wanda S tier. Oh, fascinating. I was not expecting that direction. I think WandaVision's a great show. I think that it's a great incorporation, like I said, of it being a TV show. The character work that they did, Vision in the show is really great. I think I'm going to keep it in A, because I can see it in B, but you can see it in S. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm just putting it here right now while we talk about it so that it's on the stage. People that I talk to, like day to day, you know, people that I encounter in real life, water cooler talk, that kind of thing, they don't really care for this one. They thought that it was boring. They thought that it was long. They thought that it was too much talking. I've heard a lot of these comments about it, that they liked it. But here's where I differ with the major opinion. I really, really like the cast of characters in the Captain America movies. I love Captain America as a franchise, and I really like that his friends got to carry on the story here. I think that if this was just a Falcon show, or if this was just a Winter Soldier show, it wouldn't have worked, which might tell you a little bit about the quality. I think that what really made this click was the buddy cop of it all, and I think Bucky and Sam play off really well against each other. But the thing is, I like Falcon and the Winter Soldier better than WandaVision. But I don't think it's as good of a show as WandaVision. I think as a point of something to be created, I think WandaVision is a better creation than Falcon and Winter Soldier. So because I don't think they're quite on the same level, right now I'm going to put it in B, and then we can shuffle things around. But I really love that show, and I like... mostly all the key interactions. But you want to talk about bad? That villain. The villain in Falcon and Winter Soldier was terrible. Jetsy's leaving. No, I put it under. It's okay. The final conflict, also, not that great. Except for the Captain America's camera poses, his wingspan, all that stuff. That was good. Now, Loki, I think Loki is better than WandaVision. I think with these Disney Plus shows, you're going to find the most success in the shows that play like movies. That being said, some of these shows are designed as shows. WandaVision is designed as a TV show. Miss Marvel is designed as a TV show, kind of. She-Hulk, definitely designed as a TV show. But Loki, I think, is designed as a movie. I thought Loki was so great. Everything about building up to that last confrontation. I should probably say spoilers in this, but it's a tier list. What are you going to do? That last scene with Jonathan Majors is so good. That fueled the entire Phase 4. You know, like getting on the map with that, great. Just incredible. Loki and WandaVision tied for my favorites. Yeah, I think that the first lineup of shows, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, I think that they really proved in 2021, where 2022 failed, that the shows are worth it. Because we got really good time with characters that we know already, but not well. And we got them time to develop them, and we told really interesting stories with them. And yeah, I think that they made a huge case for the shows. Now, after some mediocre shows, not so much. But right here, boom, 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 Loki, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm there for it. I thought those were all really solid shows. Loki, very deserving. So that gives us to the first movie. I'm just putting it in the middle right now while we talk about it. This is Black Widow. Black Widow was the first Marvel movie in theaters in a really long time, since 2019. We went all of 2020 without a theatrical MCU movie. I think the best thing that it gave us was Yelena Belova and Florence Pugh as that character. She is great. She is one of, if not the most fun characters to have on screen introduced in Phase 4. She is awesome. And I'm a sucker for conversations. That table conversation in the movie was really solid. That movie had real emotion to its family drama, in addition to some of the real good sass. But as far as its placement, I think it is definitely worse than Loki, and it's probably worse than WandaVision. The core of the family was really solid. And even the plot of it was okay. You know, because, like, this has been a presence in her life for a really long time. And to see her finally get to take that down was great. But, I don't know, there's just some punch missing. I liked the bad guy, but I feel like he didn't get a lot to say. I don't know. I think that it's worse than Loki, and that it's probably worse than WandaVision. The question is it better than or worse than Falcon and the Winter Soldier? I think for me, I'm going to put it behind Falcon and Winter Soldier, but still in the same tier. What if? Straight to F. Straight to F tier. It's so bad. I think one of the biggest failings of that show is that it didn't get all of the actors back. And I know, like, the point of RDJ leaving and Chris leaving, and even Scarlet leaving to a certain extent, is because they wanted to be gone. But not having everybody here for voice acting is a bit of a bummer. It really impacts the immersion, because you're listening to some of these voices and you're like, they're doing a fine job. Lake Bell as Widow, the Josh, what is his name? The guy who plays Spectacular Spider-Man. He plays Steve. They do fine voice acting, but they're not Chris and Scarlet. Same with Tony. He's been voicing Tony in other shows, also doing an RDJ impression, and it just didn't land, especially in that awful Killmonger episode. I placed the Doctor Strange episode at S tier. That's true. It did give us the Doctor Strange episode. The two-part finale was very interesting, and I enjoyed the Marvel Zombies episode. I understand why some people don't, because it is very depressing. They basically lose. But I've always kind of been a sucker for Who's Left stories, and I think they did a really good job with the lineup of Who's Left. And it's giving us a new show in Marvel Zombies, and I'm really excited about that lineup because it's basically Phase 4 Avengers. It's Kate Bishop, it's Yelena, it's Shang-Chi. I can't wait to see the three of them interact with each other. Miss Marvel's in there. So I do really like that episode. I mean, I could maybe see us moving it into a D territory just because some of the fun stuff. And Captain Carter's so great. It really should be F because some of the low lows were so bad. Like do you remember the Thor episode? How bad that was? That was truly bad. And I think it is a good example of, like, it was a good warning sign of where Thor 4 was going. Because I feel like the weird, unfunny humor that was in that Thor episode carried over to Love and Thunder, and that's a bummer. We are on to Moon Knight. Just putting it in A while we talk about it. Moon Knight was very good. I think that I was really soured on it because of SOM's coverage, specifically because the part where he's a kid is so confusing. But I think if you just kind of trim that out, look at it over here, and then look at the rest of the show, you've got a really solid story that has excellent performance behind it. Oscar Isaac, what's his name? I don't remember his name. Ethan Hawke. I couldn't. It came to me. Moon Knight's very good. I think that it is better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Black Panther. I think it does actually belong in A. It's tough because I feel bad putting things higher than WandaVision because it is a great show. I think that it is better, though, just because we do have to think about how confusing that ending bit. Because in all of these Disney Plus shows, you have that one penultimate episode that explains the backstory, that has the flashbacks or the conversations about what went on. And WandaVision does that successfully, and you have no questions by the end, I would say. But Moon Knight does not. Moon Knight has that chink in the armor where you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't answer any of my questions. Eternals. I'm thinking C. That's my gut reaction. I know it's better than What If. I don't think it's better than Black Widow. It's definitely not in B. That just looks wrong. The thing is when I watched the movie, this was a week after it had come out, and everybody said it was so bad. And it was a C tier, it was a cinema score of 70, it was just a travesty. And I went in with low expectations, and I was thinking, why is this bad? I don't understand why this is bad. And to this day, I don't really understand why it's bad. I know that it's not on the level of everything else, purely because it's a new project that didn't explode with what I'm used to. But Eternals, I think, had too many characters. I think that's what its fault was. And like, they have so many characters that they're killing them off in the movie that they appear in. Like, this movie is supposed to be about the 10 Eternals, but by the time you get to the end of the movie, there's only 7 of them left? That's crazy! What happened? What did you do? Are you afraid of your characters? One of them went bad, and like supposedly irredeemable. One of them died before the movie began, and one of them died during the movie, which I thought was very sad. I really liked the cook guy. I thought the threat of it, when they revealed what was going on, I thought that was amazing. What kind of brings the movie down is the fact that it's so sure, it's so self-important. Like they see themselves above the threats of Thanos and their peers as Avengers. They see themselves above all of that. And so it's hard to engage that with the rest of the MCU lineup because, you know, if they don't care, why should we? I do appreciate what it did, and I do think that it's a pretty beautiful movie. I don't think that its effects look bad. You know how some people are like, oh, the Black Widow effects look terrible. People complain about Shang-Chi's third act. I don't think that there's ever a moment where I'm like, I don't like these effects. And I haven't heard other people complain about the effects. And I think that goes to the point that it's made by a really strong filmmaker who has an eye for this thing. So, let's give some praise to Shang-Chi. I put it up here. We were talking about that right before we crashed. Awesome movie. Just the best. So good. I just love how they hit the ground running. They set up their own world, but it's not boring because we are talking about a villain that has been in the background, even in the movies, for a super long time. His iconography is in Iron Man 1. He is made up and his identity is stolen in Iron Man 3. He is teased in the short All Hail the King, where Ben Kingsley is kidnapped. And I waited 7 years for that to be resolved. And I think that it paid off. I think that they made a really great payoff for that villain. But the character, Shang-Chi himself, is really good. Kate, love her. Might be my favorite. I think I like her better than Yelena. I know that I said Yelena is the most exciting hero, and Kate's not really in that same league. But I do like Kate a lot. I thought all of the action set pieces were great. Best action in the whole phase. Hands down. Just so good. I could watch that movie, and I have. I think I've watched it 4 times. I couldn't sing Shang-Chi's praises more. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, and we're going to get to him pretty soon. But But I think that this movie is better than Spider-Man No Way Home. Nah, it's really good, though. It's probably right behind it. But, man, I could watch Shang-Chi right now. I really could. I think that it's such a good time. Hawkeye, Mary Crimbo. It's B for right now, just to talk about it while I think of this through. It's definitely better than Eternals, and it's definitely better than Black Widow, but it's boosted because of Black Widow. The interaction there is so ripe, but it's all I think about when I think about the show. I need to watch it again because it's Christmas. I really like that moment where Hawkeye goes to the plaque and he remembers that he was one of the 6, and he thinks about Nat, and he just misses her, and here comes this new one with this new blood. I don't know where to place it is the thing, because I really like the moments that it gave us, but I mean the Kingpin stuff was just sad. I think the Kingpin stuff really brought it down because I was so excited for him to come back. And yet, but was it more disappointing than Falcon and the Winter Soldier's bad guy? Probably not. And it really felt like everything was crossing over in Hawkeye. The fact that, Yelena came into the show, Kingpin was coming back. They referenced the Spider-Man Statue of Liberty thing with Captain America's shield. It was in New York around the same tree that Spider-Man was circling over. Hawkeye really felt like this was a Marvel Cinematic Universe. It felt like 2021's climax, which it kind of was. It brought all of these elements that they've been laying down together. The only thing that hadn't, been touched upon was the cosmic side. But Spider-Man was handling that with Doctor Strange and all that. So, things have been blending together throughout the phase. I think I am going to put Hawkeye above Falcon and Winter Soldier, which surprises me because I do really love that show. All right, Spider-Man No Way Home. How do you talk about a cultural phenomenon? It's definitely S. How could it not be? I think it's better than Loki, for sure. It just was so powerfully nostalgic, but it didn't weaponize the nostalgia. You know what I mean? It said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if? But then they said, let's not just do it to tease them. Let's do it for real. Let's have fun with this. And they did. It was fan service, but it felt very natural. It felt very organic. And I'm just talking about the third act. The rest of the movie was solid too. Peter wrestling with his true identity, adapting One More Day into a good story that gave Peter agency rather than stealing it from him. That was genius, by the way. The fact that... Here's the problem with One More Day and Brand New Day. The problem is that Peter makes this choice. He's talked into it by Mary Jane, for one. So it's not really his choice. He's desperate because Aunt May's on her deathbed. And he makes a choice and then he forgets about it, right? And they do that so that he can not be angsty and not be trying to get back with Mary Jane in the comic, right? Because they wanted to get away from that. But when you adapt that story into the movie and you make it his choice and you make it his sacrifice for the betterment of the universe, which is, pretty substantial. But it's his choice. And it's not that everybody forgets it. It's that everyone but him forgets. And he remembers and he carries that. And so we're with him. And we're the only ones with him. And very solid. Just a really inspired decision to make him our hero, I at this point, when I think about Holland's Spider-Man, I keep thinking about that Ultimate Spider-Man line that Captain America says, where he says, "You're going to be the best of all of us." And I think that's really true of this Tom Holland Spider-Man character. The fact that he is grown up, he's really good. He's still the same person that he was in 2017. but he is more of himself, and he knows more about himself, and he's comfortable with himself. And he doesn't need an Avengers approval. He just needs to do the right thing. The fact that he says no to Strange when he would have bent over for Tony, he's grown. It's great to see. It actually made me like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, which is no minor feat because I love Garfield as an actor, but always felt his webhead was Edward Cullen in the Spidey suit. Hardcore agree. I think we agree on all points. And I cried in the theater when he got his redemption. It was just so beautiful, and you think to yourself, wow, how perfectly they set that up. How incredible that is. And when you see that moment, and it just breaks him. It's just, he won, he saved the girl, but he still doesn't have his. And it's just so powerfully heartbreaking. Like, if I was not streaming, I'd be tearing up again. It's just so resonant. Because it's been years. This is not 2 years later. We lost Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy in 2014. Again, another 7-year wait for the payoff. That is the real benefit to long-form cinematic universe storytelling, is that you get payoffs and character moments for minor characters that weren't even part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe before. And it brings it together, and it gives it closure that you would never have guessed, that you could never have hoped for Trevor Slattery, for Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker. Those are where Phase 4 really shines, when they are able to bring back stuff that you thought had been forgotten. And I think that both of these movies take advantage of that. So that brings us to the follow-up to No Way Home, which is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. First of all, it's B tier at best. At best. In some ways, he got better character development in No Way Home than he did in Multiverse of Madness, which, again, was just kind of circling the drain for him. Like, Strange had nothing to do. His big arc was, are you happy? Which is a valid question for someone that we've seen a lot since his 2016 debut, but we haven't talked to at length since 2016. This is his first sequel after a slew of MCU appearances, but we haven't checked in with him. And so it's a very solid question to ask for someone who, a friend of yours you haven't seen in a while. Are you happy? You've got all of these accomplishments. You're even more than the surgeon that you were when we first met you. Are you happy? But I feel like they don't ever give a good answer to that question. He's still stuck on Rachel McAdams' character, and who wouldn't be? She's gorgeous. But she's moving on. It's been years. It's been since 2016. That's another 5 years, right? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 6 years since we've seen Rachel McAdams. And, this is kind of the antithesis to following up on those threads. She left. She's gone. She's not in Strange's life anymore. And how could she be? He's got cosmic issues on the table, and he's never been good at prioritizing. So he's not happy. That's just clear. But how do you get happy when you've cut yourself off from all of the personal relationships in your life? That was a good interplay between the two characters. Wanda, who I'm just now bringing up, and Strange. Because Wanda has also been cut off from all of her personal relationships, but the difference is that it was taken from her. She tried to prioritize those relationships, and Strange willingly gave up those personal relationships. They both have lost. They both are it. Strange has won. Good for him. But they never talk about that. America Chavez, also is a person who's lost everything. But they never sit down and talk about the thesis of the movie. Whereas all of my S tier projects, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, Loki, they talk and they address the thesis of their movie, of their project. You know, by the time those credits roll, for all three of these dudes, which it's interesting that I don't have any female-led projects in my S tier, they all know what they're about. You know, they've answered a question in themselves that the movie put forward, right? But that didn't happen for Doctor Strange. I don't feel like we answered the question, are you happy at all? And for Wanda, she had a problem that just didn't get solved, you know? She tried to solve it violently, which is in a way that a lot of people felt betrayed all of the progress that she made in WandaVision, which is a better project. But she ran away from it. She brought the rubble on herself, and bada bing, bada boom, you know? What are you going to do? So I do think that it's worse than Black Widow. Does it belong in C tier next to the Eternals? Maybe. Because I think Eternals visually is a better movie than Multiverse of Madness. I thought maybe I'm just not a Sam Raimi fan in the way that I think that I am. Because I love Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. But some of the choices that he made in this movie are just ridiculous. The moment where they're like looking at the door and it zooms and it zooms and it zooms on everybody's faces and it's banging on the door and it's lasting for way too long. I don't know, Chief. I don't know how I feel about all that. That was just ridiculous. I laughed. I don't think I was supposed to laugh, but I did. I really like Miss Marvel. I'm going to put it in B right now while we're talking about it. Miss Marvel was a great adaptation of the comic book. Really good. And any changes that they made, I feel better serviced the story. Pretty dependably. The villains were confusing. The villains didn't make any sense. I think I like it better than Black Widow. Come on. I think I like it better than Hawkeye. Because I really liked her. I think that she is to Miss Marvel as Robert Downey Jr. is to Iron Man. And you could say the same for Kate Bishop. Haley Steinfeld's great. But I think that she did a good job playing Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop. Because she gets a lot of things in the comic book right. But a lot of it is that Haley Steinfeld charm. But Miss Marvel, I think, is a shoo-in. I think she's the same person. Miss Marvel in the show is a little more flighty than the comic book one. I do feel the comic book one is a much stronger personality who's more sure of herself. But we have an opportunity to get there because she's part of a show and she's got long-term storytelling. I hope we get another season. I think that we deserve another season. I think that she has a lot of room. The one problem is, and we're really starting to feel this in this regard, is the budget. WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki all had really good budgets. They just threw a lot of money at these shows. But by the time we get to 2022, Hawkeye was kind of a cheaper show. But Miss Marvel looked really rough. Moon Knight had some problems, but it looked better. And She-Hulk obviously had a big problem with effects. I think ultimately She-Hulk looked okay. It looked as good as it did. But I do think that Miss Marvel looks the worst out of 2022 shows, which is a bummer because, you know, and then you've also got the controversy of her power change. You know, the stretchiness really bookended, like table flipped the premise that your girl characters should all look perfect and pretty and normal all the time. And they eventually got a way to represent her stretchy powers on screen, but not in the way that huge Kamala Khan fans felt. So I'm fine putting it in A tier because of the casting and because of the cast. I thought this, more than any other show, had a really strong side cast. Maybe WandaVision had a better side cast just because you've got returning actors. What's going on, Finn? Hello. But I think that Miss Marvel had the best side cast for sure. I just loved all Bruno and all of her other friends and her family. Really good stuff. The only thing that's lacking is the villains. But other than that, everything else was good. But the show wasn't really about her villains. Thor, Love and Thunder. Is it worse than What If? Is it in fact F tier? I have to disagree with all your choices. Well, now we gotta start over. What to do with Thor, Love and Thunder? What to do? What a conundrum this was. What a disaster this was. The movie that made Ragnarok worse. People have been saying that. And this comes to an issue that I have with the all of 2022. Not so much 2021, which is interesting, but 2022 MCU throughout caring about the source material and caring about what came before it, which I find very interesting. Because 2021 was all about Endgame, and coming out of Endgame. What does that do to Wanda? What does that do to the Falcon? What does that do for Black Widow? 2022 was just kind of making stuff. Like, and now we're coming back to Doctor Strange, right? Sam Raimi said that he didn't watch WandaVision. He read the notes, and that's apparent. Thor, Love and Thunder, they didn't have a script. They improv'd it all, and that's apparent. We come down the list, we're looking at She-Hulk. They don't even watch lawyer shows. Nobody on the writing staff had lawyer show experience, and they made the show anyway without getting new writers. What is going on? Why was all of 22 like that? Moon Knight was a kind of an outlier, right? And Miss Marvel too. Those were the best, and Black Panther obviously. Those three are good 2022 projects. But 2022 as a whole felt like people stopped caring. People creatively stopped caring. You got the whole thing with Blade. Apparently the script for Blade was garbage, which is why Mahershala Ali decided to delay it. He's like, this is embarrassing and you need to give me better talent. Which is true. 2022 has been real weak year for MCU movies. Thank God for Black Panther 2. Yes, indeed. That would be a great segue, but we still have to talk about She-Hulk, which is better than these two shows. I will give you that. I was very annoyed by She-Hulk week to week because it had genuinely good moments that I loved. It's weird the whole we don't know lawyer shows because the lawyer stuff in She-Hulk is perfectly fine. I don't think so. I think that they were in a hurry to get out of there. The only good court scene was 2 minutes long, was Daredevil's scene. But everything else was, they were like nervous. They were like, let's get out of here as fast as possible so we can go back to talking about why Jen is insecure. You guys have seen me rant about this show. It really bothered me. And it's probably because I'm such a huge comic book She-Hulk fan. Which, granted, has not always been good. Like, one could say that the 80s She-Hulk has been very damaging, could be very damaging to women. But I am a fan of the modern comics as well. The one where she is, a lawyer and it's like a lawyer comic and a superhero thing. Where it's not so cheesecakey. What I liked about that show was how comfortable She-Hulk was with herself. And it can be one thing if you are dedicating part of your show to getting there, but I still don't think that she's there. I think that the fact that she wanted to find a man the whole show is a band-aid to how she's actually feeling about herself. She has no belief in herself. She tells this to Bruce, which gave me a really good feeling about the character. But as we see the rest of the show, she's got insecurities for days. And sure, everybody does. Somebody in her position does. There's a lot of people that come out of after women of success. But I never saw her being a woman of success. The fact that she was blindsided by her name being trademarked is just crazy. Like, what are you doing? Why are you surprised by this? It's fine if you forgot or if you didn't think about it, but why are you surprised? I don't know. That show really irks me. And I feel like I'm on a losing battle because they're like, oh, dude, not me. Leave her alone. The show is uninterested in being a superhero show, and Jen is uninterested in being a superhero, even to the very last moment. But then she says, I am a superhero and a lawyer. Where in the world did you come to that conclusion? Why are you telling the news that when you haven't even told yourself that? You didn't superhero. Ever. When it came to the final climax, you ran away from the battle and had the writers rewrite it. Which is fine, right? Because she's always been a fourth wall breaking character. And I liked the moment of her scrolling through and walking through the studios, but I think it was timed wrong. I think that she should have said, hey, what gives? And figured this all out later. I don't know. I was really rubbed the wrong way. The best part of the show was her cast. I really liked Pugsley, and I really liked her best friend. Wong was, the guest stars were great. Wong was great, Abomination, Daredevil, Bruce. She was just a problem. She was the worst part of her own show, which is a bummer. I just want the writers to care. And coming off of Thor Love and Thunder, where the male writers didn't care, I just think it's a problem in the whole studio right now. But it bums me out, and I think that She-Hulk is very emblematic of that. The fact that I rant this much about She-Hulk tells me that maybe I should put it below What If. Because I think that it belongs here, but mentally I'm here. I think I'm going to keep it there. That brings us to Black Panther. Solid movie. Where does it go, though? I thought it was very good. Thought it was the best thing made this year. You don't mind spoilers? Okay, I'll do light spoilers then, just for the sake of the conversation. I won't give away any of the big reveals. I thought that it was a great story about Shuri. At the heart of this movie, it looks like an ensemble movie, but it is Shuri's story. And that's very exciting. That they just fully committed to this new character. One disappointment that I had with the movie is that the music was not as good as the first one, but they had the same composer. I think that some of that is because those were truly T'Challa's themes. They had some really good moments with the old music that came eventually, but it wasn't filled with classic make your eyes see the stars music, which is kind of disappointing to me. But it was still good. The movie was great. I thought the story was really solid. I thought all of the elements in the politics was very well played out. All of the developments felt very organic and thought out. The fact that this was a rewritten script is crazy. I don't know. I think that it was really masterfully made. And it's far and away the best thing that came out in 2022. If we're talking filmmaking, it's at the very top. Personally, and this is my personal list, I think I like these two movies better. For all of the reasons that I said before. But it is better than Loki for sure. I was surprised they basically shifted the infatuation with Sue Storm to Shuri. I see people have been saying that, but I don't think that's true. I think that he's just a charming person who is very attractive and is kind of a flirt, right? He's just got that smolder on 24/7. I don't think that he was attracted to Shuri ever. I think that it was more a sharing of ideas than it was a sharing of romance. I never felt a romantic connection, and certainly in the last third of the movie. I don't think that it was ever about winning anybody over romantically. And if they had shared some kind of spicy kiss, I think that would have just felt wrong. Whereas in stories where Sue and Namor flirt with each other, you're like, ooh, that would be bad, but oh, let those kids be kids. Yeah, I don't know. I personally don't. I'm not on the same page with the whole infatuation thing. I don't know what else to really say about Wakanda Forever other than the fact that it handled everything that it had to do very well. He had a story he wanted to tell with Namor, and it fit in very well with the political themes set up by the last movie. It was a sequel to Black Panther, but it also had to be a swan song. It had to be an incredibly powerful tribute to a really influential, beloved person, both in the movies and in real life. And I think that it did that so well. I think that the moments where they paid tribute to Mr. Boseman was so strong, and they miss him so much, both behind the camera and in front of the camera. And I don't think that they missed. I don't think that they faltered. I think they did everything that they set out to do with that movie well. And that takes talent, you know, to not let your emotions get in the way of the work, and to, in fact, complement the work. I don't have a picture of Werewolf by Night here, so we're just going to use this Secret Invasion poster as a placeholder. The black and white was a later decision. They kind of decided to do that after they had filmed everything. So I think it was hard to see some things, but I thought the quick little story they wanted to tell with those two characters was good. I don't know necessarily how excited I am to see Bloodstone again, the main female lead, but I am very excited to see the two monsters again. I thought they had a real fun Marvel energy. They brought a lot of the Marvel to the noir, to the horror, and it was really fun. I did enjoy it. I liked that one a lot. So let's rank it. You know, it's not gonna be in C. I think that I'm okay putting it in front of Black Widow as a fun, quick little thing. But I do like Falcon and the Winter Soldier more than that. So the only other thing missing in Phase 4 is the holiday special, which I predict will be A tier. I predict that it will be above Miss Marvel and below Moon Knight. If it's really good, then above Moon Knight and below WandaVision. But this is my tier list for MCU Phase 4, which is very exciting. What do you guys think? Do you think Loki should move down? Do you think... Because I do think that these three are far and above Loki. I think, ultimately, I'm going to put Loki down here. I think that these three are just significantly better than Loki. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm the Grouch who's not as enamored with No Way Home as everyone else. That's fine. I understand that it's specifically for Spider-Man fans. Look, here's the thing. I think it's a testament to how good Shang-Chi is. That I like Shang-Chi better than No Way Home, because Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, and this was just a celebration of Spider-Man.